You know that feeling. Payments are arriving late. You've got trucks running, loads are moving, the drivers are paid for this week, but there's that anxiety about next month. It's this constant quiet hum that keeps you up at 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
If you operate a fleet or really any capital-intensive business, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Distress doesn't usually show up in the yard with smoke pouring from an engine. It shows up first in the bank account.
It's the ultimate indicator, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what's fascinating when we look at businesses under pressure, especially in logistics, is that so many of them fail, not because they lack work, but because their cash flow becomes, well, fundamentally unstable.
So they have revenue, but not cash.
Exactly. They don't have the timing right. That structural mismatch, paying now, getting paid much, much later, that's the core issue we are deep diving into today.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We took a stack of sources specifically centered on the really acute financial pressures that heavy transport fleets are feeling in places like South Africa. But the stabilization framework they lay out is absolutely crucial for anyone.
For anyone, yeah.
Our mission today is simple. Identify those critical first steps, the stabilization steps that stop the financial collapse before you can even think about long-term recovery or growth. The sources call this initial problem the busy trap, and it's this simple, brutal reality of the logistics business. You're paying for fuel, wages, tolls today.
Right now.
But your largest customers, your anchor clients, they're paying you in 30, 60, sometimes even 90 days.
And that simple structure, it creates a powerful paradox. A business can look incredibly healthy on the surface, trucks are always rolling, high mileage, full staff, and still be right on the brink of insolvency.
All because of that lag.
All because of the lag. And that pressure is only worsened by some specific industry realities.
So tell us more about the environment that makes this cash crunch so vicious, particularly in, more dynamic markets.
Well, you're talking about highly volatile input costs paired with really rigid output pricing. In the South African context, the sources highlight the pressure points are just brutal. You have those long 30 to 60-day payment cycles from big corporate clients.
Which locks up huge amounts of capital.
Enormous amounts. And at the exact same time, you're getting hit with hyper-volatile diesel prices. Fuel can jump 10% in a week, and poof, the margin you quoted 2 months ago is just gone.
And I imagine the cost of keeping the assets running, the maintenance, that doesn't wait either.
Absolutely not. Critical repairs, tires, sourcing specialized parts, all these expenses happen up front. And they're often linked to dollars, which adds another layer of cost inflation.
Wow.
The source material noted a specific benchmark. It said if your collection cycle exceeds your fuel payment cycle by more than 15 days, you're already entering the red zone.
15 days. That's a tight window.
It's incredibly tight. And if you add in the risk of underpriced contracts that don't reflect these real operating costs, that well-run operation can slide into distress so quickly. Cash flow instability is the disease. The lack of money is just the final symptom.
Okay, so the pressure is mounting, the bank account is low, and the owner is, starting to panic. The immediate human, often emotional instinct is to just chase more work.
Get more loads.
Get more loads, run more kilometers, maybe even take out a loan for a new truck if you can still swing it. The thought process is, if I just increase revenue, I can outrun the problem.
And that common reaction is often the definitive fatal move. And what's fascinating here is the counterintuitive truth. Growth does not fix instability. In fact, it often accelerates the collapse.
Wait, okay, I have to challenge that premise a bit. If I secure a massive high-margin contract, let's say a 6-month guaranteed deal, surely that new revenue stream is exactly what I need to patch the hole. Even if the first payment takes 45 days, it's guaranteed income.
It is guaranteed income, but we have to look at the immediate cash requirements. That new contract, it requires immediate 100% cash outlay for fuel, for wages, maybe hiring an extra driver, servicing that additional truck.
All the upfront costs.
All of it, and all the risks that come with putting more assets on the road. You've just significantly increased your weekly expense obligations before receiving a single cent of that income you guaranteed.
So you're not just stabilizing, you're basically betting the entire business on the timely arrival of future income that hasn't materialized yet.
Exactly. You've just injected more highly stressed capital into an already volatile operation. If that new client's payment is even 1 week late, the increased weekly outflows, that fuel and those wages for the new contract, will sink the business faster than the original problem ever would have.
It's like throwing a massive, heavy log onto a campfire that's already running low on oxygen. It looks like more fuel, but it just snuffs out the small flame that's left.
That is the perfect analogy. The necessary refocus, is crystal clear. Stabilization means slowing down just enough to regain control of your current system. Before you even think about expansion or refinancing, the absolute priority must be stopping the financial bleed.
Within the existing structure.
Within the existing, controlled structure, you have to stabilize the heartbeat first.
Okay. That focus on stabilization brings us directly to the action plan. So we're shifting from diagnosis to the 4 mandatory steps needed to regain control. If you feel that financial pressure, these are the 4 things you need to do, like right now.
And step 1 is foundational. It's about demanding painful, absolute clarity on your weekly cash position.
Those are weekly.
Yes, we're all so used to monthly P&Ls, but monthly figures are his historical record, not a survival tool. They were just too slow when a business is distressed.
So why specifically weekly? Why not say bi-weekly or just keep a closer eye on the monthly report?
Because your key outflows, fuel, driver allowances, critical immediate repairs, they operate on cycles of 3 to 5 days. If you only look every 2 weeks, you guarantee you're always reacting to a surprise that happened last week.
You're always behind.
Always behind. The weekly view forces you to predict precisely how much cash is expected in this week, how much must go out this week just for survival, and what specific expenses can be delayed or reduced right now without collapsing the whole operation.
It sounds like intense micromanagement, but you're saying it's really about intense clarity.
It is. And that clarity, while it often reveals some uncomfortable truths about how serious the situation is, it paradoxically provides immense relief and confidence. When you know exactly how many days you have left at the current burn rate, you can make clear, structured decisions instead of panicked ones.
So once we have that clarity, we know what's coming in and when, the next immediate challenge is step 2, prioritize survival payments. In a financial crisis, not all bills are created equal, right?
Not at all. You have to immediately sequence payments to protect the core function of the business. The source material is very clear on this. You must keep the trucks moving safely and legally. They identified 4 core priorities that you must protect.
Okay.
Even if it means temporarily restructuring all your other debts.
And what are those 4 sort of life support systems?
Fuel, driver's wages, critical maintenance, and finally, licenses, insurance, and compliance.
That makes sense.
Yeah, if you skip driver wages, you lose your workforce. If you skip fuel, the trucks halt. If you skip critical maintenance, like a necessary brake job, you risk massive liability and catastrophic asset loss. And if you let licenses or insurance lapse, well, the business becomes illegal instantly.
So things like non-critical supplier invoices, maybe vehicle finance payments that you could temporarily renegotiate, maybe rent on a big unused part of a yard, those are the things that need to be put on hold before you let those 4 pillars fall.
Precisely. This is about buying time. Maintaining those 4 core priorities is the difference between a controlled, temporary discomfort and an immediate, irreversible collapse.
Moving to the 3rd critical action. Identify and stop immediate cash leaks. It's easy to blame clients for paying late, but the sources point out that distressed businesses are often also bleeding cash quietly through their own inefficiencies.
Yes, and the problem with these leaks is that they're tolerable when times are good. A 5% margin erosion from poor routes is manageable when you have a 20% buffer. It's absolutely lethal when you have a 2% buffer.
Can you give us some specific tactical examples of where these leaks happen most often in a transport business?
Sure. The 3 biggest culprits are 1, poorly priced contracts that aren't covering the real operational cost per kilometer. Second is uncontrolled overtime or fuel misuse, leaving trucks idling for no reason, or poor route planning that adds excessive empty kilometers.
Right. Waste of fuel, wasted time.
And third is reactive rather than preventative maintenance. When you react to a failure, the cost is exponentially higher, and the truck is off the road longer, costing you revenue.
I remember reading an anecdote in the source material about one trucking company owner who just tracked empty kilometers religiously and was shocked, genuinely shocked, at the savings.
It's so true. We had a client who realized that by strictly controlling unnecessary routes and stopping excessive idling, they saved enough capital in 1 month to cover the salary of an entire back-office employee.
Wow.
It's those small losses, the ones often disguised as just part of doing business, that actually consume all your profit and eat your working capital. This doesn't require complex, expensive system upgrades. It requires an honest review and decisive action from leadership.
Which brings us to step 4, and this is often the fastest win. Fix the gap between work done and cash received. This step forces a necessary and sometimes painful look inward at the client relationship itself.
This is where you unlock cash that already belongs to the business.
Yeah.
You have to ask, are the payment terms you agree to, that 60-day cycle, are they realistic for your own immediate cash requirements?
Yeah.
If you're paying for fuel weekly, but you're acting as an involuntary bank for your client for 2 months, that gap is fundamentally unsustainable.
And beyond the terms, there's just the basic collections hygiene. Are invoices accurate? Are they complete? Are they being sent immediately upon delivery, or are they sitting on a desk for days or weeks?
And are follow-ups consistent and structured,
Mm-hmm.
or are you just hoping the client remembers you? This sounds so basic, but inefficiency in the invoicing process can cost a company thousands every single week.
Mm-hmm.
And beyond that, leadership has to address the most critical client question. Are you over-reliant on one massive, slow-paying anchor client whose late payment could sink the entire fleet?
A single point of failure risk.
Exactly. Diversification of revenue, even during distress, is crucial to mitigate that risk.
So tightening up invoicing and improving collections hygiene is pure, immediate cash flow stabilization. It just minimizes the time lag, and that speed of cash retrieval is immediate relief that doesn't require borrowing or new contracts.
Stepping back from these four spreadsheet-driven steps, we realize that taking control of cash flow during distress isn't just an accounting exercise.
Mm-hmm.
It requires calm, structured decision-making under intense pressure. And that, fundamentally, is an act of committed leadership.
And when leadership commits to implementing these steps, that weekly clarity, survival prioritization, plugging leaks, and tightening collection, the benefits are immediate and tangible. That feeling of drowning starts to subside almost instantly because you regain visibility.
And that visibility, that reduction in pressure, it allows decisions to become clearer and less panicked. Your credibility improves dramatically with suppliers who see you acting decisively and communicating openly, not hiding from them. Confidence slowly returns to both management and staff, because they know there's a structured plan. You stop just reacting to emergencies, and you start managing the business constructively.
You move from constantly dodging bullets to actually building a foundation that can withstand a few inevitable bumps in the road.
Exactly. Cash flow is the heartbeat of your trucking business. When that beat becomes unstable, everything else follows suit. Maintenance gets skipped, drivers feel insecure, compliance lapses. Stabilizing that heartbeat isn't just the first step. It is the absolute foundation that allows every other recovery, action refinancing, new contracts, whatever, to actually work.
So we've learned that the instinct to chase growth during a cash crisis is often, well, counterproductive, and that real stability requires detailed weekly analysis and a ruthless prioritization of survival expenses. This foundation gives you the space to finally breathe and recover.
And that initial feeling of pressure you may be experiencing right now, that quiet anxiety about next month, that is a signal. It's not a final failure in itself. It's a necessary early signal that structure is urgently needed. Which, that raises an important question for you. How quickly can you shift your perception from seeing this moment as an overwhelming crisis to viewing it as a manageable structural challenge that just requires immediate structured decision-making? Because stability is always possible with the right framework, and it is precisely where recovery begins.